In this training session, we'll discuss the Contact Manager capabilities of the system. Contact Manager allows you to store any number of contacts and record your communication activities with each contact. It also allows you to create groups of contacts which have something in common. Lastly, you can keep a database of form letters and email messages which you can send to a contact or group of contacts. To access the Contact Manager features, select Contact Manager from the Sales Order menu. Here you can see all the functions available in the Contact Manager. First, we'll select Contacts and Activities. Here is a list of all the contacts currently in the system on the left-hand side of the screen. On the right, we see detailed information for the highlighted contact. Simply highlight another contact and see the information on the right change accordingly. Let's add a new contact. Click on the Insert button. The system asks whether the contact we are adding already exists in one of these files: the customer file, the vendor file, and the employee file. If the contact does already exist in one of those files, click the appropriate button and select the contact from the list. The system will pull all the applicable information into the entry screen and disable it. If you wish to make any changes to the information on the left, click this checkbox and make your change. Remember, however, that any changes you make here will be synchronized with the main records stored in the customer, vendor, or employee file. On the right, we have a set of user-defined fields for this contact. If you wish to change one of the prompts or categories, check this box and make the change. You now have a new category common to all your contacts. Okay, now we'll save this contact and record some activities. Click on the Insert button, and the following window comes into view. Today's date and time are inserted, and you can proceed to describe your conversation or activity. We'll say that this was our first discussion with the contact, and it was a phone call. Now we'll indicate the date we are supposed to call the contact again. Next, we'll enter some notes about our discussion. From this screen, we can also send an email or letter to the contact. Click on the Send a Letter button. A window appears which shows all the letters we have stored in our letter database. We can pick one of the existing letters, edit an existing letter, or create a new one from scratch. We then click the Select button, and the system will print this letter. To send a quick email, click this button. An email message screen will appear. Here you can provide a subject, attachments, and a message body. Clicking on the Send button will immediately send this email to the contact. Once we're done with the entry, we click OK, and the system will display our activity in the list. Also, our next scheduled contact will appear in this window, color-coded as to its immediacy. Dates more than a week away will appear in black. Dates within the next week will appear in green. Today's date will appear in red, and dates which have passed will appear in blue. The color coding makes it easy to browse through the contact list and see which people need to be contacted today. Now let's talk about letters and messages. We'll select Manage Messages from the Contact Manager menu. Here we see a list of all our letters and email messages. The messages are listed alphabetically by title. Email messages display an email icon. Letters display a letter icon. Let's insert an email message. Basically, we give the email a title and text. That's very simple. Another option is to use HTML to create our email. This allows us to create a complex message that acts much like a web page. Using a third-party program, I've created an email I wish to send through the Contact Manager. I'll copy the HTML description of my message from my HTML program and paste it here. Now I can click the Preview button to see what my message will look like when it's sent to my group of contacts. Now let's insert a letter. Here we have more capabilities. First, we give the letter a description. Next, we begin by typing our letter. We can bring in merge fields using this pull-down box. We'll make a standard form letter by bringing in today's date, contact name, company, address fields, salutation, and the like. Now we'll type the body of the letter. Last, we'll pull in the name of whoever is currently using the system here. Our form letter is almost complete. We want to make sure it fits on our pre-printed letterhead, so we'll adjust the margins here. Also, we want to emphasize a couple of important items, so we'll use bold and color to do so. Now we're finished, and we click on the OK button. We'll use this letter in a moment when we have created a contact group to send it to. Now let's talk about groups. A group of contacts can be created by selecting Communicate with Groups from the Contact Manager menu. On the left, we can see a list of the groups already created. On the right is a list of the contacts in that group. Let's create a couple of groups. Click Insert and the following window appears. Here we can give our group a name. Now we need to indicate whether the members of our group will be selected from the whole list of contacts, employees, customers, or vendors, or whether the membership will be determined by the computer based on common characteristics. First, let's make a group we select manually. All we have to do is highlight an entity we want in the group and use these buttons to add or remove the entity. We can add them all or remove them all as well. We'll save this group and create another. This time we'll build a filter so the computer can determine who is a member of our group. This group will be made up of all the contacts located in the state of Oregon. We'll double-click on the state and say state equals OR in quotes. Now we'll give our group a name and click OK. Here we see all of our Oregon contacts. If we add a new Oregon contact to our contact list, they will automatically be included in this group. At this point, we can send our form letter to our group of Oregon contacts. Highlight the Oregon contacts group and click the Print a Form Letter button. Select our form letter from the list, and the system will create our form letters in the print preview. Notice how our merge fields worked perfectly. We can now print all the letters to the printer, or use these buttons to save our letter as a PDF or send it as an email. The final Contact Manager function is printing contact reports. Select Print Contact Reports from the Contact Manager menu. Here we'll click Insert to create a new report. We'll give our report a title and use the limits to zero in on who we want on the report. Let's tell the computer we want only Oregon contacts whom we are supposed to contact within the next week. Also, we want a lot of information on the report, so we'll indicate what we want over here. Now we click OK to save our limits and click Print to print the report. Here we see information for just the Oregon contacts who we are supposed to contact this week. As you can see, the Contact Manager is very powerful, but also extremely easy to use. This concludes the Contact Manager training session.